Hello, my name is Mercury, and welcome to this brand new episode of Media Fae. Today, I'm alone. Today, I'll be discussing Shazam: Fury of the Gods, the first of the 2023 slate of the DCEU movies, and the first of its last year of existing. So we are very close to the release of Future Commandos, which will officially begin the DCEU and DCU. I think I'm gonna call it the DC universe because it's just easier to because sometimes you sound when you follow up DCU, sometimes like DCEU. I don't know. I'll just keep calling DC universe. So the new DC cinematic universe, and so what that potentially means. What that means is that we are officially leaving behind the DCU for at least for a bit. Probably not gonna get anything more of it. And what's going to happen is that we are going to start seeing we're going to start we are officially this is officially the end. We are bridging the gap between those two, and we are going into the official, and then we're going to the flop. We're getting into all of that. So yeah, DC. What I want to say is that we won't be talking about the trailer for the second trailer for Creature Commandos. The series would have already been out by the time we get to it. There will be an exception to that rule because I have actually a trailer episode pre-recorded for a trailer for a series actually already came out, which was Chaos Theory. So you'll be seeing that trailer episode a bit later than I would have wanted it to come out, but that's fine. I'm not gonna scrap an episode just because the series is out, and it's a full episode. I'm not gonna scrap it. But yeah, no, I want to talk about the trailer for a little bit here, just some cool things. It's like the one thing I want to really talk about is how we're seeing Clayface, and I actually listened to the Flash episode. I think, just really touch it up, edit some stuff. And I realized that I said that I wanted in the DC cinematic universe. I would have loved to see. We'll be getting we'll probably be getting a clay face actually made out of clay, like a fantastical Batman villains. And literally, today I think the trailer came out, and today we got confirmation that yes, that we're getting Clayface in Creature Commandos. That's awesome. I don't know if we're officially going to that Clayface will be part of the Creature Commandos. It looks like he isn't. But yeah, no, it's cool for that for that coincidence that I said that Clayface in the DC cinematic universe or DC universe, and we're getting Clayface in the DC. We're getting Clayface in the first series. That's awesome. So yeah, no, I just wanted to say that. That is the only positive thing I'll say during. Actually, no, wait. There are a few positive things I think I could say about this movie, but they're going to be very far in between. So yeah, getting into Shazam: Fury of the Gods. This is a sequel to the 2019 movie Shazam. That movie was one of the better DCEU movies, so it getting a sequel, and it did quite well in the box office. I'm pretty sure it didn't do awful. 367. It didn't do awful. I feel like it did underperform. Oh no, it says about top of success. Okay, so yeah, it did well enough to grant a sequel. It was one of those movies. Because it's one of those movies that really it was after Justice League, and it was kind of bridging the gap. It was the only DC movie that came out in 2019, but it was right after, a few months after. It was a few months after Aquaman, and that one was the biggest. Aquaman was the biggest DC EU movie. So yeah, it was assessed. After this came, and I think it really just failed because that early 2019 slate was really packed Like we had there was Avengers Endgame in there. John Wick was coming out too. There's probably a bunch of other movies I'm forgetting, but like Endgame was the big one there. And so Shazam like was just kind of like a weird. It was kind of weird to put it in there, but it was good. Like Shazam was pretty good. We'll probably get to it eventually. Talking about Shazam, the DCEU is not that long. It's not MCU long. We'll probably get to it pretty quickly. But yeah, uh, Shazam 2 doesn't share the quality of the first one. It actually somehow it's worse. You know, wait, no, not somehow. It is worse. It is very bad. So bad, I didn't watch it in the theaters. I didn't know it was bad. I didn't know it was bad. I didn't go into it thinking it was gonna be bad. But the thing is of Shazam is that like Shazam 2, it was a weird movie. It came out in March 4th, 2023. By then, a lot of people like it was right after Quantum Mania. That one didn't meet expectations. Then this movie came out, and this movie didn't meet expectations. So like it was kind of the beginning of that like of the movement where people were saying that they're tired of superhero movies, and that's a very the superhero fatigue is something that's I think real for some people and real from not real for, like, not a thing for others. Superhero fatigue is probably like very apparent in like the I guess in the hardcore movie fanatics where like, everything is coming out as like superhero or like sci-fi action. I feel like more in like the movie goer audience. I don't think. No wait, this movie fucking failed. Yeah, no. Like what am I talking about? The movie going audience probably like, doesn't really isn't really. It's probably also experiencing superhero fatigue. Like after Endgame was the big one, and after that, like sure they go to watch some of the big movies like Deadpool Wolverine was I and Deadpool Wolverine was a big a big success, the biggest success of Phase 5. Then going to the Galaxy Volume 3 actually didn't make people. It was a big worry about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 that it wouldn't make back its money, but it did. It did make back its money. So that was that was something. It made back its money, which was great. Um, then after Guardians was the Marvels, which is I still the only Marvel movie to ever completely bomb, not underperform, bomb. And then there was Deadpool Wolverine, which is the only one in 2024, and then there's gonna be four movies next year if Blade comes to fruition. So I think we're in a tree with Marvel. All those movies look great for Marvel's next year. What I'm not really excited for is like what they're gonna do in 2026. We don't know yet. I'm pretty sure. Either no wait. I think Avengers Doomsday is 2026. Yeah, it is. I thought it was 2020. I thought it was 2027. No, okay. So 2026 is going to be Avengers Doomsday, which cool. But, anyways, Shazam: Fury of the Gods was kind of that first move, one of the first few movies people called it like it was one of the first movies that really showed that people weren't getting into superheroes, and those that did, watched it and didn't like it or just thought it was okay. So what did I do? I didn't go watch in theaters. I already said that. So I waited until released on Max, and it was, or at the time HBO Max, but when this movie released on streaming services, Max specifically, that was one of the first movies they brought into the rebranding. So I watched it. On Max, and I think back then I thought it was okay, but going back to it now, it's not very good, and I'll get into why. So we'll start off what we always start off with, which is the CGI. The CGI, so the CGI is about the only thing I can really say about this movie that it actually does well. You'll probably see this very apparent in the 2023, like, well, aside from Guardians, like in the 2023 movie slate of both of these like franchises, that usually the special effects for these movies get better. No, peak at their first installment, and then it goes fucking down as it goes on, as like the year goes on, and that's very apparent in this movie. This movie looks the best out of all of the DCEU movies that came out in 2023. Um, I think I think Blue Beetle looks the Flash looks the worst. Then like followed by Blue Beetle, then Aquaman. The Aquaman and this movie have like a neck and neck. The worst ones are Blue Beetle and the Flash. And you'll see that in the Flash episode. That I mentioned that one that I pre-recorded it before recording this episode. So yeah, cool. But anyways, the CGI in this movie is actually pretty good most of the time. Sometimes it's a bit weird, but I feel like this movie has pretty impressive CGI. And I mean, it looks like it cost it looks like it cost 120 110 125 million dollars. So like I don't mind that budget isn't like exactly the biggest for like a superhero movie, but it's not. But it still didn't make back its budget, so there's that. So yeah, that's really the only compliment I can give this movie. I think the action is subpar. I didn't put the action here, but I think the action is kind of subpar. The CGI overall looks actually pretty solid. I think this is the best looking one of the best looking ones from DC in the year. I feel like it's just because like they did the same thing Marvel does. They tried copying Marvel, and it didn't work. They tried doing the same thing as Marvel, and it just didn't work. And I'm glad that they at least try to do something different. So yeah, um, okay. I was counting the. Okay, whatever. I was counting how many installments of DC you had, and there's 17, and we covered. So that means, God. Okay. Okay, whatever. So the so this movie looks the best. That is the biggest compliment I can. It looks good. It looks theatrical. It looks theatrical. Like it looks like a theatrical movie. However, there are some scenes where it does look a bit weird, and it's very apparent. It looks like green screen. It looks just off. But most of the time, this movie looks good, and that's just the genuine. That's just genuinely how I feel. So yeah, that's really all I gotta say. All I gotta say about this. That's all I really gotta say about this CGI here. So again, also this episode might be a bit short compared to like the other review episodes. Maybe I don't know how this will really work, but I'll get to it. We'll see. Let's talk about some characters. All right, so first up is Billy slash Shazam, and I feel this movie is like the biggest sample of some unrealized potential. I feel like this movie could have been very, very good. I feel like this movie could have been very good. It just isn't. And Billy's arc here is really the biggest part of it. They make kind of a big deal out of it in the first half, where he's like having thought, like he's having second thoughts. He's struggling with being a leader because everyone wants to do their own thing, and he's struggling with that. He doesn't really do much. It doesn't really. He just doesn't really feel well the whole movie. But the thing is that this idea, idea would have worked quite well if it really did things for his character. I feel like it does things more things for Freddy, because Freddy goes on to do other things which affect the plot. But the thing is, like, there are things here in with Billy's character that could have been a lot interesting. He's the newest member of their family, and he's trying to he holds too tight to people, and that comes up quite sometimes in the movie. Like, that's very apparent in the first half, but that's not really developed. He doesn't learn anything. At least we don't really see him learn anything. So when it comes back at the end, it's kind of very much out of nowhere. So it just kind of falls apart. I feel like Billy's character could have gone through a very good arc and could have been a strong point for the movie, but it didn't go that way. They just didn't realize it because for most of the movie, it's him trying to find out more about the villains, and doesn't really focus on that part of that. And sometimes it sometimes goes in that direction, but it doesn't really do anything with that, and that is tragic. I feel like this could have been a very big point of the movie, because they introduced the Shazam, or the Marvel family, or Shazam family. So they they obviously have to do something with them. I feel like I feel like this movie just didn't want to do some things. Like, it tried to play it safe. It didn't want to take any risks, and I feel like the characters suffered because of that, and especially Billy. Billy suffered quite a bit because of how they played. Of how they played their cards with this movie, and that's kind of sad. I feel like Billy's character could have grown a bit, and I feel like the sacrifice at the end could have impacted a lot more if the ending didn't suck ass. But we'll get to the ending later. Yeah, I just feel like Billy Shazam was a bit wasted, and overall not a good part of the movie. Just it feels off. His character arc is incomplete. That's at least what I feel after watching it twice. I feel like his character arc could have been done better if it just was part of the narrative a bit more. And I feel like they were going somewhere with this movie, and I will get to that later. And I feel like they were trying to go somewhere, but some interference happened. But we'll get into the interference later when we get to the plot. Let's talk about Freddy. This is the character I was talking about. I feel like Billy's character, like, such arc, like, such a problem, like his character, like, issue, like, problem issue, like, not like actually like issues with his character, but issues with, like, issues within the story itself, like his issues, personal issues, really affect Freddy more. Freddy is a bit more interesting. He wants to break out on his own. I'm talking about him separately. He's the second biggest character of the movie. He wants to sort of break off on his own and really figure out, like, what he wants to, not what he wants to do, but like the person he wants to do and wants to be. But that's really a big part. That's a big part. He breaks off on his own. That's why he gets captured by Anthea, or not captured, like captured by the daughters of Atlas. And yeah, I feel like he's a bit interesting. I just feel like, again, I feel like it wasn't like I feel like he was definitely explored a bit more than Billy was, and that's something I at least appreciate, that he was explored. And he had, like, and at least this, like, character at least inspired some people, and he had a lot more to do in the plot than Billy did. But I don't know. I just feel like if you're gonna make a Shazam movie, make it about Shazam instead of Freddy. Yeah, you can put a focus on Freddy. That's fine. He's a protagonist, but, like, we came here to see Shazam, and he's not really there's not a really big character arc in the movie. I don't want to call him, like, a character arc. I want to call like Freddy's role in the movie. I wouldn't call him having a character arc. I don't think Freddy has a character arc. I think he would have a character arc if the movie went in a direction that I feel like it could have gone. But I just don't think that it really went that way. And they were definitely setting it up, but they didn't go that direction. So yeah, no, that's what I guess about Freddy. Freddy is definitely the thing is like with glaring issues, you can definitely point out more. But I feel like Freddy just has a little bit less wasted potential, like missed opportunity. It's more of a missed opportunity than a wasted potential. Like Billy definitely has wasted potential, but I think Freddy's more of a missed opportunity type deal here, where his character had certain things about him that could have been that could have been in they could have explored a bit more if the story went a different direction. I don't know how or why that would have happened, but like, that could have been it could have been interesting, but it didn't go in the direction. So yeah, let's talk about the Daughters of Atlas. So this is what I mentioned last time during the Black Adam episode, that the Daughters of Atlas were OCs. I'm not lying about that. So the Daughters of Atlas aren't actually characters in the DC universe, and I am not one to like bash original characters. I think that we should get more original characters. I just feel like Marvel. I just feel like Marvel and DC have kind of dropped the ball here, especially with What If season 2, with introducing whatever her name was. I forgot her name. Um, and these three, the Daughters of Atlas. So the Daughters of Atlas, I feel like it could have worked a lot more if they were just fleshed out villains. These villains are kind of uninteresting. And Thea was definitely fleshed out, but I feel like she I feel like there was more to her character. Because she's kind of sides with Freddy for I don't know, no real reason. I feel like it would have been a bit better. I feel like I think it would have been better if we got more to her character. I think it's just a bit just there for missed opportunity. Is there for more missed opportunities. That's what happens to most of these characters. What, like, the real issues with this movie are the plot, and I will get to that later. That's why it's not like C tier. It's lower. It's not the lowest. It's not. It's a bad movie. It's badly executed, badly planned. Like, it's bad, but it's only bad because you can tell it had a different direction and it just couldn't adapt to where it was inevitably being led to. So yeah. Anyways, Daughters of Atlas, like, they just kind of feel like filler, really. I feel like they could have been, and Thea could have been a lot more interesting if we really learned why she at least stands up for the humans. Uh, uh, Hespera would be a bit more interesting. I think she could have been a little bit more interesting. I feel like she's the most interesting one out of all of them because she at least has morals. But I feel like she could have acted a little bit more. She could have acted on them a little bit more. And I don't know, like, I found her personality a lot fun, but like, I feel like we could have seen a little bit more from her. But she had like the least missed opportunities out of all of them. Uh, Calypso, or whatever her name is, genuinely is, I think, the worst villain because she's just kind of evil for the sake of being evil. She is evil because we needed. She's evil because because we needed a villain. That's why she's evil. She's evil because we needed a villain for the movie. Um, uh, we needed a villain for the movie to fight at the end, and that's why she's evil because we just needed a villain, and she doesn't really have like a real turning point. She just kind of, and even then, like in the beginning, like Hesper didn't really care about the humans, and it was like it was very apparent that they both didn't care, but for some reason, Calypso took a little bit more personally to that and tried to kill them all, and well, Hesper was like, no, you can do that. Like, I feel like if the $3 were explored more. I feel like I just feel like I just feel like it could they could have been explored more. Just but they just weren't. Uh, yeah, they're just weak, very weak, very bad villains. At least like Calypso's a very bad villain, and the other two are. I wouldn't call Anthea a villain. She's just kind of not, uh, not a, not just like just doesn't have much character to her really. And then Hesper was just kind of there. I think she was the most interesting, but she wasn't really explored. But talking about Anthea's character, I feel like they were going something interesting with the finale of in the movie where like she gets her godhood taken away, but then it's instantly brought back. I'll get into that into the ending later. Yeah, I feel like Daughters of Atlas are more so missed opportunity than wasted potential at the same time. Just because they're not the villains that they needed to be, and they're not really that good. They really aren't. And that's the Shazam family. Speaking of like families and all that, the Shazam family I think is also just kind of wasted. Um, like I said earlier, a big part of the movie was them. A big part of the movie was them having to do their own things and want to do their own things aside from being superheroes because they're normal people. They can't just be superheroes all the time. And that could have been interesting to see with them sort of grappling with that fact, wanting to kind of be normal, but being the grapple with by Billy and seeing them grow maybe into it. But I feel like it could have been a little bit more interesting if they kept what they were going for in the ending, where they lose their powers and still become heroes and help Shazam, uh, overcome the threat, and that could have been fun. Like maybe maybe just like they don't really need the superpowers to be superheroes and all that. Like they don't need powers to be heroes, and they can all be heroes. Like they can be heroes all the same. That's just them. I don't know. Like they could have gone something very interesting with the narrative here with them losing their powers and then not really going with that and having other things to do than being heroes. I don't know. I feel like they could have gone in that direction. I don't know if how the movie was written how the movie's written now. It could have worked, but definitely just rewrite it. Like you don't need to like spend time like that. There you go. So I don't know. Just I just feel like they're wasted potential. We could have seen like more them being fleshed out more in the in this department to actually see them have like to make it have an impact. But yeah, no, they're just kind of wasted in this movie. I don't know. The Shazam family just isn't good in this movie, and I feel like that's more of a thing of them introducing the Shazam family in the first movie. I feel like it's definitely a, a smart choice to make them all just like a big foster family. That is, I feel like the best choice they could have gone. I think they went a little too hard by making them all become part of the Shazam family, all of them having Shazam powers in the first movie. And as that happened, they had to deal with that in the second movie, and they had to like talk about that and see how that would work. But like they really didn't. That didn't really happen. So there's that. And I don't know. I just feel like it was much more of a problem from the first movie to carry on to the second movie that they had to do with the Shazam family, but that didn't really matter in the end because the ending is kind of garbage. So yeah, speaking of the ending, let's get into the plot. So I feel like this movie's biggest issue is the plot. Officially speaking, the plot. The movie has some very stupid moments. Just some diabolically moronic moments. It is kind of impressive. This movie, this movie just has things that happen in it. Yeah, just like for example, some coincidences. Um, what's really going on about? Yeah, like, the plot is just bad. Like, things should happen. Like for example, the apple that's big. A big part of the a big part of the of a big part of the like what do you call it? A big part of the movie, like the apple scene and having them be there, is literally like shown in one scene, and it's like, oh, it's the apple, and then like they never made the connection that that's the apple, like the black apple that we see in the room of whatever where Steve is, which is like the writing pencil. Like it's there, but then like we don't really. It's not really. The movie doesn't make that connection. So, or maybe I missed it or something, but it's not really brought up again. So when you see the apple, like, holy shit, wait, what the fuck? That's the apple? We don't, it's just kind of there. And also when Shazam, when Billy makes the connection that Anne is Anthea, or like Anthea is Anne, because they sound similar, like that just kind of feels like them grasping at straws just to get someone there. Like Anne is a pretty common name. Like I don't know. Like Anne is a pretty common name for a person. So like, and you don't know what Anthea looks like. So, or at least like the drawing that was there of the daughters don't really look like the daughters. I don't think so. I don't think they do. So you're just kind of making assumptions out of nowhere that this girl that Freddie met is the goddess Anthea, and you somehow are just kind of right. Like, I don't know. It's so weird. And also we don't know why Anthea's even there in the first place, but yeah. So yeah, just the things just happen. We I don't mind something like that. And some things do happen in the movie that I think like they flow nicely together. But there are some really stupid things that happen in this movie that just kind of go absolutely nowhere. There's just like very poor setup going on, and this just really bad. And something I think what happened with this movie is my big speculation, tinfoil hat theory, is that this movie was supposed to be about Shazam fighting Black Adam. That was what this movie was supposed to be about. And then when it came out, when you know when when we saw, like, probably very early on, that The Rock wanted to have very a lot of creative control of the Black Adam. He didn't want it to have anything to do with Shazam. So he wanted to have it. He wanted the movie to be. He wanted to fight Superman, not fight Shazam, because Shazam is a nobody. He doesn't want to fight Zachary Levy. So when we get to when that happens, like when Rock tries to overtake DC, pretty much, he bars the Shazam 2 team from using Black Adam, from like introducing Black Adam and Shazam fighting Black Adam. So what I think happened is that they had to scramble to do something, and they thought of the goddesses because they needed to keep like some kind of theme going. Like they needed to probably keep it very low, like very low stakes. But I just feel like some things don't really fit in, and I feel like Billy's character could have really benefited from it being Black Adam instead, because then he sees this person the same, like him struggling to become a leader with just like great powers and all that, and a lot of people do confront him on him having a lot of the gods' strength, and him seeing this like twisted version of himself from eons ago, and him having to stop him, and maybe the staff does come into play or something. Like maybe like the staff is comes into play here to really bring it all back. Like maybe maybe Black Adam finds out about Shazam and wants to doesn't believe that he should have the power, so he's gonna steal it for himself and all the other and all the other the other Shazam family members. So he goes on. He learns about the about the staff, and he goes to get it. So like, I don't know. I feel like that could have been better it would have made sense to so they can introduce the Shazam into the Justice Society, because I think we know that Hawkman was supposed to be part of that scene, but he was cut because Rock did not want any of Black Adam's things to. I think it was either like Atom Smasher and Cyclone or some shit like that. I don't remember, or like Hawkman. I don't remember at all. But I think they were supposed to be there. I think it was very much connected to Black Adam. Sorry, but then like The Rock happened, and he did not want to really play ball with DC. And some things I wanted to mention is like stealing the power. Like I feel like the ending sucks genuine ass just because it goes against what the movie does at the very end. So Shazam is sacrificing himself. That's fine. You bring him back. I don't expect him to be brought back. But I feel like when Wonder Woman shows up at the very end, not really like set up at all. Wonder Woman shows up and she fixes everything. She gives back Anthea her powers. She revives Billy. She revives the tree. She just fixed everything, and that really goes against what I feel like the movie could have been at the very end, about him, like about people learning a lesson, learning how to like just be heroes and all that. And maybe Shazam could have been brought back to some other means or something. Like I don't know, anything. But it was the Wonder Woman coming in there and just fixing everything. I feel like was very cheap. Was just absolutely cheap, and it cheapens the ending. It cheapens the whole movie, because the whole movie is now kind of worthless because of what Wonder Woman did. And I just feel like that was a very bad decision, story wise, because now like all of like they I know like, Wonder Woman just revives them like on a second watch. Like, oh yeah, Wonder Woman just comes in there and fixes everything. It's like bringing in your OC or like a very like your favorite character and just fixes everything. I don't get why. I don't get why is it just like a thing these people do. So, the movie is kind of bad, and let's talk about it's just it has too many problems. The movie has too many problems story wise. So let's just get into whatever future this thing may have, and I don't think it has a future. James Gunn said that he would consider bringing in Zachary Levi as Shazam back if the movie was a success. Success. It is not a success. It wasn't a success. It isn't. I don't think anyone watches on Max. I think I was the first viewer of Shazam: Fear of the Gods in like a year. I didn't watch the movie on Max. I don't think it's doing any numbers on Max. So I don't think the character has a future. Maybe we'll see Shazam brought back in the DC cinematic universe, DC universe, but I don't think we'll be seeing that anytime soon. Like I don't know. Like we'll probably see him with a different actor. Maybe the Black Adam that we replacing him. I don't know. Just like anything. They're probably gonna play a little bit less. I don't think they'll bring back any. I don't think they'll really play around with any of the characters the DCEU did. Like they're not bringing in the Flash. They're not bringing in Cyborg, Wonder Woman. They're doing Paradise Lost, but they're not bringing in Wonder Woman. They're not doing anything with Aquaman. We know that Jason Momoa is gonna be back as Lobo instead of Aquaman. We know that they're bringing in like very obscure characters. So I don't know. I feel like we could be seeing something interesting. We could be seeing Shazam being brought back for DC Universe, but I don't think it'll be with Zachary Levi at the helm of their role, especially since with what he's doing now and him being kind of controversial after Shazam 2 bombed, because he thought it was like he thought that Shazam 2 would be his ticket to like stardom, but it's kind of like Shazam the role would be his ticket to stardom, but it really wasn't. So he's kind of buttered about it. But yeah, just Shazam 2 is Shazam Fear of the Gods is a movie that is okay on its own if you just kind of watch it like as a background noise. But when you pay attention to it, you realize that there are glaring issues with the production, like that are shown that are very apparent with the final product, and they're just things that don't really make sense in the movie. So that's why Shazam Fear of the Gods lands itself comfortably in the D tier for me. It is not good. It is not. It isn't good. It isn't even like okay. It's just bad. It's just bad. Wasted potential with this movie, and honestly, just really disappointing. So yeah, what did you guys think about Shazam Fear the Gods? Fear of the Gods. Leave me in the comments below. All of our socials, except Twitter, fuck you Elon, are in the description. So go check those out if you want. And that's about it. See ya.